Part 43. Fantasy, Me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 422. 10 days later. Outside Fuyun Mountain. The wind and clouds gathered together, and the sun and moon in the sky were dim. As Menkingzi's last divine material hit the void, a sense of desolation and chilling reverberated between heaven and earth. Rise. Menkingzi drank lightly. Boom, with a loud noise, billions of symbols rose into the sky, like rounds of small suns, arranged in the void, blooming billions of divine radiances. The earth below was covered with a gorgeous luster. But beneath this luster, hidden is the endless murderous intention, which makes people shudder. Senior, has this been arranged? Fang Han asked softly. Good. Meng. Kingzi nodded and said proudly, with this emperor's intervention, Fuyun Mountain will be doomed this time. If Fuyun Mountain can really be destroyed, the name of Juyu demon sect will also be famous in the immortal world. But when others hear the name of the senior, they will all be afraid. Fang Han said excitedly. His eyes swept across the 10 directions, and what he saw was bloody lines everywhere, almost filling the sky and the earth. Each one was very complicated, with a heart-stopping killing intent. Here for a moment, every plant and tree within hundreds of thousands of miles around Fuyun Mountain, every hill and river, turned into a peerless magic weapon, flowing with cold killing intent. Like an elite soldier waiting for danger, just waiting for Menkingzi's order. Can flood Fuyun Mountain in an instant. Is it? Menkingzi laughed jokingly and was non-committal. He didn't want this kind of reputation. If he really destroyed Fuyun Mountain, it would sound very majestic at first, but in fact, there were endless risks hidden behind this reputation. At this point in his life, in one step, fame is like a cloud to him. Only real interests can move him, otherwise he wouldn't have been secretly taking action. I will help your Fang family get back some interest first. Menkingzi said casually. As soon as he finished speaking, he spread his fingers and pressed down. Clang! 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 The formation revived, and murderous intent swept across the sky. The crimson evil spirit like Wang Yang turned into billions of divine swords, filling the sky. The whole world turned into crimson. This is outside Fuyun Mountain. Many disciples are coming from all directions, but as soon as they step into these hundreds of thousands of miles, the scenery between heaven and earth has completely changed, and the surroundings are red. It was as if they were in boundless purgatory. The weaker ones were wiped out into nothingness by the evil energy without even uttering a scream. Even if those with stronger strength can barely hold on, their lives are still hanging on by a thread. Like a small boat in Wanyangzhou, it may capsize at any time. Formation. A great sage-level figure said in shock. He has been traveling for many years and participated in a battle in the Zixuan realm. Now he has just returned to the mountain gate. Who would have thought that he would step into a killing array in front of his mountain gate? Could it be that he was going to die in front of the mountain gate? Why didn't the elders in Fuyun Mountain notice that someone had set up a formation here? Who are you? Why do you have to fight against me, Fuyun Mountain? The great sage spoke. The voice echoed in the void, but no one responded. The next second. Zheng. Countless blood-colored divine swords in the sky let out a clang, shattering the heaven and earth, turning into a torrent of waves, pouring down from the sky. It was as if the Milky Way opened its gates, boundless, submerging everything, the sky and the earth. Only the color of blood has become eternity, and other than that, everything has disappeared. Nothing can be seen. Puff. Without any resistance, the great sage disappeared into thin air. Then, endless sword light spread across the sky and rushed towards Fuyun Mountain. This was a collision of comets hitting the earth. One mountain after another, like the paper, was torn like paper, and then shattered into dust. Wherever the sword light passed, everything was broken and destroyed. It was unstoppable. It was as if the world was being destroyed, which made people's hearts palpitate. Bang! With a loud noise, the sword light hit the Fuyun mountain guard formation, causing the sect to shake for a moment. Countless divine peaks inside collapsed. Countless disciples vomited blood and fell to the ground. But in the outside world, this area of the world was completely shattered, and everything no longer existed. Looking around, within hundreds of thousands of miles, everything was devastated and desolate to the extreme. What happened? Why is there suddenly an additional formation outside Fuyun Mountain? No, there's not just one, but several. Each one is a killing formation. Who dares to be so presumptuous? At the moment when something unexpected happened, many people who were cultivating in Fuyun Mountain were suddenly awakened. They looked at the formations running above their heads, and every disciple of Fuyun Mountain seemed to be in a dream. How many years had it passed, had they ever been beaten to the gate of Fuyun Mountain? Not to mention, someone had set up several killing arrays without even realizing it. Who are you? Are you going to start a war with Fuyun Mountain? In Fuyun Mountain. A deep voice came out, very cold, with undisguised murderous intent. It spread throughout the surrounding areas. Within a radius of hundreds of thousands of miles, the void shook. Countless mountains and rivers trembled, as if the next in seconds, it will collapse. The sound turned into waves, spreading in all directions, pervasive. This was not only a conversation, but also an opportunity to find the person who set up the formation. In the main hall of Fuyanshan's headmaster. The face of the contemporary headmaster of Fuyanshan, it was cold, and he stood with his hands behind his back. The anger in his chest was rising, and his face felt hot, which made him extremely ashamed and angry. Just a few days ago, he was still thinking about letting Fuyun Mountain dominate the world. Not long after, he being knocked directly to the door was tantamount to a loud slap on his old face. Today's Fuyun Mountain is carrying the edge that just destroyed the Fang clan and is unstoppable. The entire earthly immortal world is not many people dared to provoke them. If they could not defeat this invading enemy, their Fuyun Mountain sign would be completely destroyed. People who hide their heads and show their tails dare not show their true colors. The headmaster of Fuyun Mountain opened and closed his eyes, and a divine light broke through the sky, piercing the void. He took a step forward and shouted coldly, how many formations dare to act wild in front of Fuyun Mountain? Before he finished speaking, the master of Fuyun Mountain took action. He stood in the void and held it with one hand. A black mountain fell from the sky. The sky immediately collapsed and the earth cracked. The sun and the moon lost light, and it became a collapsed world. Boom! The mountain took shape, tens of thousands of feet high, and was nearly indestructible. With wind and thunder all over the sky, it crashed towards the killing formation. Is this all Fuyun Mountain has? If that's all, you should pay for the great hatred of the Fang family with blood. A solemn voice came. I don't know who spoke again, and I could only see the blood clouds gathering in the sky, the formation rumbling, the terrifying sonorous sound, shaking the world, and pieces of sword light and Wangyang pouring down overwhelmingly. Each sword light struck into the mountain, leaving countless sword marks on it. But in the blink of an eye, the mountain collapsed. The trend of the infinite sword light continued unabated, and it slashed at the floating clouds again. On top of the mountain guard formation. Bang! The two sides clashed again, and Menkingzi relied on the formation to gain a slight upper hand. On the other hand, in Fuyun Mountain, many people looked uncertain. The remnants of the Fang clan. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 423. Mountain Master, could it be that Fang Han came back from the killing spree? Many elders of Fuyun Mountain came to the headmaster's hall immediately. The expressions of everyone present became solemn. They never expected that there would be one member of the already destroyed Fang clan. A great emperor is alive. This is incredible. You know, they remember clearly that all the great emperors of the Fang family have fallen. How can there be anyone alive now? Apart from that little beast Fang Han, I really can't think of anyone who has the guts to challenge Fuyanshan at this time. An elder from Fuyun Mountain said in a deep voice. His face was very cold, with undisguised murderous intent. Just now, a secret emperor took action, but it did not hurt the vitality of Fuyun Mountain. But the opponent directly hit the mountain guarding formation. It was tantamount to a slap in the face for everyone present. They wanted to go out for revenge, but there was a formation in the outside world. If they went out rashly, they would probably be trapped in the formation and unable to escape. As for the secret emperor, no one knows whether he has helpers. What if there is not just one great emperor in the outside world, but two or even more? If he and others go out without the protection of the mountain protection formation, aren't they looking for death? If it is Fang Han, he cannot have the strength of the great emperor. Could it be that the great emperor of the Fang family faked his death and escaped? A thin old man said in a deep voice. The emperor has many methods. Today, when an emperor comes to the door, they have to wonder if someone in the Fang family is lucky enough to escape the disaster. His injuries have recovered today. So he killed him and came back. Because if he were not from the Fang family, it would be impossible for the other party to call himself in the name of the Fang family. Maybe not from the Fang clan. The master of Fuyun Mountain shook his head slightly. He stroked his beard with one hand. Compared with other elders, his expression was much calmer. All the great emperors of the Fang family have been wiped out, and there are no descendants of the Fang family in the Zixuan realm. This person may be the reinforcement that Fang Han invited from a certain world. They haven't seen any of Fang Han's other methods, but they have long learned about Fang Han's ability to escape. He can't be killed no matter what, and there are even people who always jump out to help Fang Han escape. In the Tianyuan world, there are two great emperors who have extended a helping hand to Fang Han. One is the leader of the Dragon Clan, Aoxian, and the other is the ancestor of the Nine Nether Demon sect, Menkingzi. Either one of these two might stand on Fang Han's side. Help him deal with Fuyun Mountain. After all, they are all creatures of Tianyuan realm, and now the two realms are at war. It is reasonable for them to take this opportunity to come to Fuyun Mountain to provoke. Correct. The headmaster of Fuyun Mountain seemed to have thought of something. He suddenly turned around and asked, have the two elders who entered the Tianyuan realm found out the truth about the Tianyuan realm? For example, where are the Dragon Clan in the Tianyuan realm and the Nine Nether Emperor now? Have you ever appeared on the battlefield? This. The elders present looked at each other, all confused. They didn't know why the headmaster still cared about the affairs of the Tianyuan world when his own mountain gate was besieged. Could it be that the headmaster thinks that the enemies outside the mountain gate are nothing to worry about? Report back to the headmaster. An elder raised his hand and responded. Aoxian, the leader of the Dragon Clan of the Tianyuan realm, has appeared. He and another great emperor of the Tianyuan realm have teamed up to ambush the troops of Yugzu Palace. But they were defeated in the end, but after this battle, it also dealt a big blow to Yugzu Palace. Many people in Yugzu Palace died in this battle. It is said that Huang Yun, the elder of Yugzu Palace, was severely injured. As for Emperor Zhuyu, this person is elusive and has not appeared on the battlefield until now. He may still be recovering from his injuries. At the beginning, the matter of Menkingzi's formation before the inheritance of the true immortal has spread throughout the three realms. Their people in the earthly immortal realm have all received some news. After all, among the imprisoned emperors, there are one or two who belong to the immortal realm. Their fairyland. Oh! Hearing these words, the master of Fuyun Mountain raised his eyebrows, and his eyes showed thoughtfulness. He raised his head to look at the sky, and murmured, if I remember correctly, The Emperor Juyu is proficient in forming formations. Of Master, what do you mean? The person setting up the formation outside our mountain gate is Menkingzi from Tianyuan realm. No one here is a fool. If you still can't guess after hearing this sentence, then there is a problem. Is Emperor Juyu really so bold? An elder said in surprise. As far as they know, the Juyu Emperor of Tianyuan realm has just become emperor, and his strength is at the tail end of the emperors. Provoking them to Fuiyun Mountain without permission is almost like asking for death. Once all the details of Fuiyun Mountain are revealed, it's hard to say whether he can escape back to the Tianyuan realm. After all, the two realms are extremely far apart, and it won't be possible to escape in a short while. Hard to say. The master of Fuiyun Mountain stroked his beard with one hand and said softly, "This is just a guess." But the Juyu Emperor was so bold that he dared to go deep into the Zixuan realm to become an emperor when he was about to become an emperor. After he became an emperor, he even dared to ambush several emperors. Now that I'm in front of Fuiyun Mountain, I want to add insult to injury, which is reasonable. If it is really him, then he is seeking his own death. Many of the elders in Fuiyun Mountain have ugly faces. It would be fine if they were blocked by others, such as the original Hades Emperor, Zombie Emperor, etc. After all, these people are really strong. But being blocked by Menkingzi would be a bit humiliating. It makes sense. A person who has just become emperor is blocked by a huge section. No matter how you look at it, it is a bit unjustifiable. A mere man who had just become an emperor asked the headmaster to take action to suppress him. An elder from Fuiyun Mountain said in a deep voice. The headmaster of Fuiyun Mountain is not weak. He has been emperor for some time. Dealing with Menkingzi is a simple matter in everyone's eyes. There is a formation outside Fuiyun Mountain that blocks the prying eyes of spiritual consciousness. For a while, I was unable to determine where Menkingzi was hiding. The headmaster of Fuiyun Mountain looked towards the outside world, with a glimmer of light flashing in his eyes, and said calmly, "However, after all, he is not strong enough, let alone the foundation of our Fuiyun Mountain. After this period of time has passed, I can probably confirm his location. He had been holding off doing anything just now. He was just looking for where Menkingzi was hiding." At the same time, he was also confirming how many great emperors had come from the outside world. Now his spiritual consciousness penetrated the void and penetrated part of the formation. When he saw Menkingzi's, after confirming that no other emperor was hiding, he could no longer suppress the murderous intention in his heart. It is disrespectful to come and not go back. Since you are here, Menkingzi, why don't you come and sit in Fuiyun Mountain and let me show my friendship as a landlord? The Lord of Fuiyun Mountain spoke indifferently. While speaking, he raised a palm, and a huge brilliance bloomed from his palm, illuminating a large area of the void. He. Meng. Kingzi's hoarse voice came and he joked, "I will naturally go into Fuiyun Mountain, but the real gift has not been given yet. Wouldn't it be rude for me to go in empty-handed?" You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 424. A real gift. Everyone in Fuiyun Mountain frowned when they heard this. Although they didn't know what the great gift Menkingzi meant, their intuition told them that a great terror was about to come. Buzz. The void twisted. A dark green brilliance shot up into the sky, like a pillar reaching the sky, penetrating the sky and the earth, illuminating the boundless void, and the entire Fuiyun Mountain was shrouded in it. Everyone in front of the headmaster's hall, all at the same time, changed face. Not good. This is the breath of the Supreme Immortal. Fang Han and Menkingzi came to Fuiyun Mountain today, and they were indeed well prepared. The master of Fuiyun Mountain's face changed drastically. Since the other party has come, he must have something to rely on, but he never expected that the trump card in the other party's hand is actually a magic weapon of the true immortal level. Could it be something left by the ancestors of the Fang clan? But judging from the aura, it doesn't look alike. The aura of this magic weapon is so different from the aura of the Fang clan's skills. It doesn't seem to come from the same source at all. Could it be said that the ancestor of the Fang family owned two magic weapons at the level of true immortals? The master of Fuiyun Mountain thought in shock. This is incredible. A true immortal magic weapon is extremely rare. As for two pieces, most people dare not even think about it. Even forces like Yogzu Palace are not so wealthy. Master, what should I do? There are many elders around, all of whom have no masters. You know, when dealing with the Fang clan, both sides did not use immortal weapons. If a weapon of this level hits it, even the emperor will have to kneel down. It will not make any waves at all. Don't panic. The master of Fuiyun Mountain gave a cold shout and said in a deep voice, weapons at the level of true immortals are extraordinary. It is difficult for ordinary people to activate them. Even if Menkingzi uses them, it is just a chance. We at Fuiyun Mountain also have a true immortal level formation, so we can withstand a single blow without any problem. After Menkingzi takes action, he will be a piece of fish on the chopping board and can only be slaughtered by us. Maybe we in Fuiyun Mountain can still pick up a true immortal level magic weapon for free. Speaking of this, the master of Fuiyun Mountain narrowed his eyes, and deep in his eyes, a blazing brilliance gradually rose. Activate the mountain protection formation, the master of Fuiyun Mountain issued an order. The next moment, boom! The sky and the earth shook. The entire void was rattling, as if a rag was being pulled. Around Fuiyun Mountain, formations spread rapidly. They intertwined into a large net in the sky, which was dazzling. In an instant, everyone in Fuiyun Mountain was shocked. This was the first time in countless years that Fuiyun Mountain fully opened the mountain protection formation. From a distance, it looked like an immortal was resurrected. The supreme immortal power spread and swept across the sky. Underground, it makes the sun and moon eclipse, like Wan Yang, covering the sky. Everyone must surrender. The terrifying pressure to the extreme, suddenly enveloped many people in a radius of hundreds of millions of miles, and many people who are extremely far away from Fuiyun Mountain, they all fell to their knees with a thud. The souls of many monks trembled and they couldn't help but worship. They were filled with fear. This kind of surrender was completely involuntary. What was even more frightening was that they had no idea what was happening. It seemed as if it was falling from the sky. It was so coercive, there was no warning, no vision, it just appeared out of thin air. Supreme Immortal. Everyone was shocked, speechless, and couldn't say a word at all. Only some older people could guess part of the truth through a trace of coercion. Has a true immortal been born? Some people speculated. This pressure definitely comes from a true immortal, but whether it is a real supreme true immortal, a weapon, or a formation, they can't tell. Because this aura is very strange, it has not appeared for countless years. Many people can only guess the tip of the iceberg, but cannot see through the specific things. Because everything that happened in Fuiyun Mountain has been blocked by the formation. It is difficult for people from the outside to see through the inside. Scene in Fuiyun Mountain will be destroyed today. A cold voice sounded. Then, outside Fuiyun Mountain, a dark green ancient lamp slowly rose. The void around it was distorted and dimmed rapidly, and the sky and the earth turned into pitch black. There was only a dark green light pillar. Became eternity. Then, the ancient lamp rushed up, swaying a large area of flame, and transformed into a real dragon, a divine phoenix, a unicorn, and other divine beasts, roaring down from the sky. Before it completely came, it tore the entire piece. The sky sank a large area of void. At this moment, the heaven and earth shook violently, and everything was about to be overturned. This power was extremely terrifying. You could vaguely see a majestic figure standing on the sky, as if dominating the sky. The will of all living beings. People cannot disobey it and can only bow their heads. This figure is not the real body, but it is better than the real body. It is just as powerful and has unrivaled power. There is no doubt that this is a supreme true immortal. But the aura is unfamiliar. All the elders of Fuiyun Mountain thought that this was not the true immortal in history. They could not even recognize the origin of this immortal weapon. But what is certain is that, this immortal weapon is definitely not the one left by the ancestor of the Fang family. You can see it. Countless divine beasts are crowded together, boundless, killing from the sky. Each one can be easily crushed to death. A great emperor, but now he appears above Fuiyun Mountain at the same time. Even if you take a look at it from a distance, you will be frightened. Let alone being immersed in it. Boom! There was a loud noise. Countless phantoms of mythical beasts came one after another and slammed into the mountain guard formation of Fuiyun Mountain, making a roar that shook the earth. It seemed that the entire earthly immortal world was disintegrating. Countless the stars poured down like a waterfall. What kind of scene is this? It is simply unimaginable. The extremely terrifying aftermath spread out, almost instantly destroying the formation set up by Menkingzi, destroying everything, and only the remaining remnants. The formation also lost most of its power. At the moment when the formation was broken, countless people saw this strange scene, a beam of light reaching the sky and the earth, evolving into endless divine beasts, attacking Fuiyun Mountain crazily. This was simply an ancient anecdote. You must know that the aura emanating from that pillar of light is of the level of a true immortal. It seems that Fuiyun Mountain is in big trouble. Even the mountain protection formation has been fully activated. The formation was uncertain in light and dark, with symbols appearing and disappearing. It seemed that it would be destroyed at any time. This sight made many people stunned. They couldn't believe that someone was actually holding an immortal weapon of unknown origin at this time. Is attacking Fuiyun Mountain, and it seems that Fuiyun Mountain can only parry, but not fight back. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 425. Is someone crazy? You actually dare to attack Fuiyun Mountain at this time, aren't you afraid of retaliation? In the earthly immortal realm, countless people thought with shock. That pillar of light that penetrates the sky and the earth can be clearly seen from almost any corner of the earthly immortal realm. The power it emits is really terrifying. Now, even the forces that have good relations with Fuiyun Mountain do not dare to get too close. Because none of them are fools. They have already brought out the immortal soldiers, so how can they be afraid of them? In everyone's eyes, the person who is attacking Fuiyun Mountain at this moment, came with the belief of destroying the family. No matter who helps at this moment, there is a possibility of getting burned. After all, they still don't know who is the enemy of Fuiyun Mountain. In today's earthly immortal world, few forces can produce an immortal weapon, but it's unclear which one is taking action. A leader-level figure said softly. When the earthly immortal world launched attacks on other worlds, its own world was not so peaceful. Not only did some people begin to make moves. In everyone's eyes, dealing with Fuiyun at this time, the people from the mountain must be a certain force in the earthly immortal world. It's just hard to say who they are specifically. If Fuiyun Mountain cannot withstand this calamity, it is estimated that our immortal world will once again lose a first-rate force. Some people sighed. Immortal soldiers and an immortal level formation are at the same level. It is not certain who can persist to the end. If Fuiyun Mountain can withstand it, everything will be fine. If it cannot, it is estimated that it will take many years. The foundation will disappear in an instant. At this time, in the floating cloud mountain, the atmosphere was extremely tense, and the enemy was stronger than expected. The outside world could see that the Fuiyun Mountain formation was crumbling, but they could see it more clearly when they were inside the formation. At present, although the formation was not broken, but the aftermath of terror still seeped in. I don't know how many disciples of Fuiyun Mountain vomited blood and fell to the ground. Although the formation blocked most of the power, there were still some aftermaths that spread in. Even if it is just a trace, it is not something they can resist. Almost everyone below the emperor was injured. As for the disciples below the saint, it can be said that they suffered heavy losses. Is Menkingzi crazy? An elder from Fuiyun Mountain almost went crazy and said viciously he actually dares to bring an immortal weapon to attack Fuiyun Mountain. Isn't he afraid that if we survive this disaster, we will fight to the death with him from the 9 Nether Demon sect? After this battle, no matter what, the 9 Nether Demon sect can no longer exist and must be eradicated. Another elder echoed in a deep voice. A mere 9 Nether Demon sect, if placed in the earthly immortal realm, would not even be considered a first-rate force. Normally, they would not pay attention to it. Who would have thought that Menkingzi would be like this at this moment? How dare you provoke them? This world has been banned. When the aftermath dissipates, we can pass on the news and ask Emperor Yama to rush to the 9 Nether Demon sect to destroy it. Someone said in a cold voice in the headmaster's hall. Originally, their troops from Fuiyun Mountain had entered the Tianyuan realm and had not decided who their next target would be. But today, when Menkingzi took action, their thoughts suddenly became clear. Buzz. The void shook, and the world was penetrated. A vast coercion surged in, shattering countless formations, and penetrated deep into the hinterland of Fuiyun Mountain. Countless mountains, rivers, and mountains were easily torn apart like paper. The powder was blown away. The ancient lamp made of an unknown material shone brightly. After this blow, it dimmed at a speed visible to the naked eye. The power of the immortal soldier is exhausted. The headmaster of Fuiyun Mountain's eyes lit up with a dazzling brilliance. He knew that an immortal weapon could not be activated by a great emperor unscrupulously. This was because the consumption of true energy was too terrifying. It was extremely difficult for Menkingzi, a man who had just become emperor, to persist for so long. If they continued to attack, they all had to suspect that Menkingzi was risking his life. Is Menkingzi's Kazhu donkey skills exhausted? Great, now is the time for our Fuiyun Mountain counterattack. A mere Menkingzi can be suppressed with a backhand. After capturing him, I must cramp his muscles and peel off his bones. His soul will be suppressed and under the 9 netherworld, and he will not be reincarnated for 1,000 catastrophes. The name is Juyo, so naturally his soul should return to Juyo. One side of Fuiyun Mountain. Countless people breathed a sigh of relief. The power of the opponent's immortal soldiers was exhausted, and they finally survived. Many Fuiyun Mountain elders saw the scene inside the mountain gate, and every one of them was filled with anger, almost to the point of bursting into anger. In this battle, they suffered too much loss. I don't know how many elite disciples have died. It is not an exaggeration to say that their vitality has been severely damaged. Although the older generations are still there, they have lost the younger generations. Their Fuiyun Mountain is completely broken. I don't know how long it will take to completely recover. After all, every elite disciple is a genius, and geniuses are not cabbages on the roadside. It is very difficult to find one. As for more, they cannot be recruited overnight. Please be patient, everyone. Menkingzi did not take away the immortal soldiers, he may be brewing some conspiracy secretly. The master of Fuiyun Mountain spoke in a deep voice, calming everyone's emotions. In his opinion, the immortal weapons in Menkingzi's hands already belong to their Fuiyun Mountain. As long as they can capture the immortal weapons, no matter how big the loss of Fuiyun Mountain is, it will be worth it. Now, the scene suddenly became quiet, and something was wrong no matter how you looked at it. So, he didn't miss this little time. As long as he and others stayed in the sect, Menkingzi couldn't do anything to them with the immortal weapons. Could it be that the other party can you still break through the mountain protecting formation? Menkingzi has been unable to attack for a long time, so he must be impatient and may be thinking about a way out. An elder spoke. After a moment of pause, he said coldly again, of course, he may also choose to fight to the death. After all, he has provoked Fuiyun Mountain. Even if he escapes to the ends of the earth, he will inevitably die. He just finished speaking. Boom. There was a loud noise. The ancient lamp rose into the sky again, blooming with thousands of rays of light. Terrifying fluctuations spread, and the entire Fuiyun Mountain was shaking. Many elders of Fuiyun Mountain almost fell down due to the sudden incident. On the ground. But after the embarrassment, everyone felt completely relaxed. Some even looked at the elder who just spoke and their own leader with admiration. It was as they said. What conspiracy was Menkingzi really brewing? As expected, this is Menkingzi's plan to kill the fish and break the net. It's a pity. The fish will die, but the net will not break. The mountain protection formation of Fuiyun Mountain is also a true immortal level. Since it can withstand the attack just now, isn't it easy to withstand Menkingzi's final blow now? As long as Menkingzi's last resort fails, he will be completely dead. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 426. Boom. The ancient lamp crossed the sky, and the green flame illuminated the heaven and earth, filling every void, almost pressing on Fuiyun Mountain, wrapping it entirely. The cold breath was pervasive, and it was not an ordinary flame at all. As if it could freeze into one's bone marrow. There's something weird about this flame. The headmaster of Fuiyun Mountain frowned slightly, and then relaxed. What's wrong with the weirdness? He could break it just now. Now that Kinlu's skills are exhausted, is it possible that he can still break the mountain protecting formation of Fuiyun Mountain? The headmaster of Fuiyun Mountain, just when he breathed a sigh of relief, there was a crisp sound that reached the ears of every living being in Fuiyun Mountain. In full view of everyone, above Fuiyun Mountain, a symbol shattered, and then a chain reaction seemed to start. Countless symbols smashed apart. A huge crack was opened in the entire Fuiyun Mountain protective formation in an instant. Moreover, this crack spread rapidly in the void, almost splitting the entire Fuiyun Mountain into two. The relaxed smile on Master Fuinshan's face froze before it completely dissipated. What's going on? Has the formation set up by our Fuiyun Mountain ancestor been breached? When this idea first emerged, the entire Fuiyun Mountain fell into complete panic. Countless people screamed in horror, as if they had seen some terrible scene. Oh my God, the mountain guarding formation has been breached. Run. This is the power of a true immortal, irresistible. Why is this happening? The Fuiyun Mountain protective formation has stood for hundreds of millions of years and has never been breached. How could it be breached so easily today? For a while. Inside Fuiyun Mountain, screams could be heard endlessly. But more people did not even scream, and became nothingness. The dark green flames penetrated everywhere, burning down the sky and spreading into the interior of Fuiyun Mountain. Every sacred peak, every flower, grass, and tree seemed to be on fire. This kind of flame cannot be extinguished. Although it is visible to the naked eye, it cannot be touched or touched. It seems to be between reality and illusion, and even the soul can ignite it. Even people with the level of emperors are taboo and don't dare to get too close. Impossible. How could Menkingzi break through my Fuiyun Mountain formation? The headmaster of Fuiyun Mountain stayed where he was, his eyes dull and muttering to himself. No matter what, he couldn't believe what was happening in front of him. His formation had withstood the most terrifying offensive just now. Why was he killed at the last moment? Breaking through? Moreover, A true immortal level formation cannot be broken by outsiders just because they want to. Even if a true immortal comes, it will take some effort. And Menkingzi is just an emperor. What virtues does he have? Can you do this? There must be something wrong. The master of Fuiyun Mountain said in a deep voice. Could it be? As if he thought of something, the headmaster of Fuiyun Mountain's eyes froze. He looked towards the direction of Tianyuan realm, and squeezed out 4 words with difficulty. The owner of Tianji. At this time, I am afraid that only the owner of Tianji Tower, with guidance from behind the scenes, can Menkingzi easily break through Fuiyun Mountain's formation with the help of an immortal weapon. After all, the deeds of Tianji Tower and Menkingzi's matters are all in Fuiyun Mountain. I knew something about it. At the beginning, Menkingzi relied on the guidance of the master of Tianji to sneak into the Yaoguang Holy Land silently, and then buried the entire Yaoguang Holy Land in one fell swoop. It was precisely because of this that the 9 Nether Demon sect rose rapidly. It must be. The master of Fuiyun Mountain was like a deflated rubber ball, his whole person was sluggish. He actually missed this point. He originally thought that the immortal soldiers were Menkingzi's biggest support. Who would have thought that behind Menkingzi, there was still someone standing there? A Tianji building owner? In this case, it is not so strange that their Fuiyun Mountain was breached. Mountain Lord, let's retreat quickly. An elder said anxiously. The protective formation of Fuiyun Mountain was breached, and the power of the true immortal surged in. The entire Fuiyun Mountain suffered heavy losses in an instant. If they did not leave, it is estimated that they would not be able to leave in the next moment. Where else can I go? The master of Fuiyun Mountain raised his head, looked into the void, and said softly. Outside Fuiyun Mountain, a black figure stood like an eternal furnace, with strong energy and blood, burning blazingly, reaching into the sky, so powerful that it made people tremble. This man, it was Menkingzi. Beside him, there were 2 figures, one old and one young. Who else could it be if not Fang Han? The remnants of the Fang clan. The master of Fuiyun Mountain clenched his teeth, and his eyes were about to burst into flames. He had noticed Fang Han's aura before, and at first he thought it was someone else from the Fang family. After all, Fang Han was blocked into Wang City, and there were still people outside. There is Emperor Yama waiting for him. In the eyes of everyone, it is impossible for Fang Han to escape. Who would have thought that Fang Han not only left Dawang City, but also came to Fuiyun Mountain? At this moment, maybe Emperor Yama is still stupid. Stupidly waiting outside Dawang City, waiting for Fang Han to come out on his own initiative. Hateful! The master of Fuiyun Mountain roared. He glanced at Fang Han and Menkingzi hatefully, closed his eyes unwillingly, and said in a deep voice. Get out of here first. As soon as he said these words, he understood that Fuiyun Mountain's reputation was over. People came knocking on the door, but they escaped first. It is conceivable how other forces in the earthly immortal world will treat them in the future. Moreover, after experiencing this after the catastrophe, Fuiyun Mountain's prestige was greatly damaged. Even if they were rebuilt in the future, they had lost their true immortal level formations and were almost no longer the same as before. Retreat! An elder shouted loudly, and it spread to every corner of Fuiyun Mountain. Almost all the remaining disciples of Fuiyun Mountain heard this word. One by one, they turned into streams of light, soaring into the sky from the gaps in the broken formation. Get up and flee towards the sky, wanting to get away from this place of right and wrong immediately. You can't leave. Menkingzi sneered, raised his hand and grabbed the ancient lamp next to him, and activated the remaining power. Boom! The ancient lamp revived again, and the rays of light shot straight into the sky. The whole sky shook, and the supreme immortal power intertwined with the texture of the avenue, overwhelming the sky and the earth. The dark green flame turned into a piece of Wang Yang, sweeping in all directions, and the waves were turbulent, drowning everything at this moment. This ancient lamp has become the only one in the world. It moves up the 9 heavens and down the 9 netherworlds, covering everything. Everything becomes extremely small in front of it. Fuun Mountain, which has been glorious for countless years, completely submerged in the sky full of flames. The sky collapsed due to the fire, distorting the void. It lasted for a long time without being extinguished. No one could see clearly what was going on, let alone whether anyone had escaped. All they could see was the boundless flames are beating, filled with breathtaking fluctuations. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 427. Fuun Mountain is over. A leader-level figure looked in the direction of Fuun Mountain and said softly. The mountain protecting formation was breached, and the power of the true immortal swept across the sky and the earth. It can be said that Fuun Mountain was completely crippled even if it was not destroyed. Even if those Fuun Mountain disciples who went on an expedition to the Tianyuan realm were lucky enough to survive, but what could they do? When they came back, they would only be greeted by devastation. To rebuild Fuun Mountain on the ruins and restore its former glory would be as difficult as climbing to the sky. Who would have thought that Fuun Mountain, which was so arrogant before, would be destroyed in the blink of an eye? Countless people were sighing. They all said that after great prosperity comes decline, but now they have realized it deeply. The former Fuun Mountain relied on a true immortal level mountain protecting formation and its own profound foundation. Except for Yugzu Palace and a few other, apart from the fact that this force cannot afford to offend, other people must be afraid of it. Now, the true immortal formation has been broken, leaving countless people in silence. As powerful as Fuun Mountain, they have been destroyed, and these forces are not as good as Fuun Mountain. Where should we go? Who secretly destroyed Fuun Mountain? An older cultivator stroked his long beard with his hand and said solemnly. Logically speaking, at this moment, the attention of all cultivators in the Earth Immortal world should be on the Tianyuan world. How could anyone take such a huge risk? Taking action against Fuun Mountain? You must know that Fuun Mountain is not easy to bully. If it is not defeated and is counterattacked by Fuun Mountain, even an immortal soldier is not invincible. The person who mobilized has exhausted his true energy, and the immortal soldier will also. It becomes a dead thing. Maybe Fuanshan will be gained in vain. Could it be that it is a certain force in the Zixuan realm? Next to the old man, a graceful and noble man guessed softly. When they attacked Zixuan realm before, the most fierce attack was from the underworld, but the same Fuun Mountain did not give in too much. They also bitten down in Zixuan realm. A piece of fat. Now, Zixuanja has taken a breath and started to take revenge on Fuun Mountain. It is also reasonable. But in the Zixuan realm, no other true immortals have been born in history. How did this immortal weapon come about? The old man mused. They have figured out that the immortal weapons in the hands of Emperor Bai Li of Zixuan realm are the immortal weapons left by the ancestors of Fuun Mountain. Even the real immortals don't have their own immortal weapons in their hands. They are lending them to. It's a bit unrealistic for other people to attack Fuun Mountain. Could it be that Senior has forgotten? The man who spoke just now smiled slightly and said softly, then why did Emperor Bai Li become an immortal, and how did he get the immortal weapons in his hands? As soon as these words came out, the old man's body suddenly shook, and a trace of incredible color flashed deep in his eyes. You mean, there is a secret behind this matter? Be careful. The man glanced at Void warily, shook his head slightly, and signaled the old man to stop talking. There are some things that you just need to wait for others to understand. There is no need to say them out, as it can easily lead to disaster. Yes or no, maybe it won't be long before things will be revealed to the world. After all, There are always people who can't restrain their curiosity and will go to the TNG tower to find out. The man said meaningfully. He had just finished speaking. At the end of the sky, a divine light broke through the sky, and a figure in the middle, covered in blood, rushed out from the flames in the sky. He looked very embarrassed. There was fear in his eyes. He looked as if he had seen something terrifying. The moment he rushed out, he quickly looked in one direction and escaped quickly. It's the headmaster of Fuiyun Mountain. Someone with sharp eyes saw the scene and shouted loudly. Unexpectedly, the leader of Fuiyun Mountain actually survived the attack of the true immortal. At this time, he may have become the only remaining person in Fuiyun Mountain. It's incredible that he survived. Countless people were amazed. But before the sound of exclamation could reach the ground, behind the master of Fuiyun Mountain, a black figure quickly caught up. The essence and blood in his body was like a tsunami, like a volcano erupting, rolling up the sky. Die. One word uttered almost froze the world and made people shudder. Boundless murderous intent swept across. At this moment, the sky was shaking and the ground was trembling. The area tens of millions of miles around was filled with a chilling air, endless depression and fear, making one can't breathe. Boom. There was a loud noise. The man in black stretched out a big hand and turned it into dark clouds. With a soul-stirring demonic nature, it shrouded down from the sky and completely enveloped the master of Fuiyun Mountain. Menkingzi, do you really want to kill them all? The master of Fuiyun Mountain screamed in horror. This sentence spread throughout the 10 directions, and countless creatures in the earth and immortal world heard it. When they knew these 3 words of Menkingzi, I don't know how many people's expressions became extremely eccentric. Is it Menkingzi? Menkingzi of the Tianyuan world? At this time, the only person who can still possess the strength of the great emperor is probably the human Menkingzi of the Tianyuan realm. This is in line with his usual behavior. Our Earth immortal realm has just attacked the Tianyuan realm. Have they already reacted? Countless creatures in the earthly immortal world were talking about it. Many people looked extremely wonderful. He had already suffered a lot when he entered the Tianyuan world. Before he could see anything, a force in the earthly immortal world had already been destroyed. Is this revenge from the Tianyuan world? It came a little too fast, a little too violently. If it were Menkingzi, it would be impossible for him to deal with Fuiyun Mountain by himself. I am afraid that only with the guidance of that person behind the scenes can there be any possibility. Many people reacted quickly. They knew Menkingzi's strength, and the Juyu demon sect where Menkingzi belonged was the first group of forces to benefit from the TNG Tower. If they had never been to TNG Tower before taking action, they wouldn't believe it if they said they were ghosts. In this case, the immortal weapons in Menkingzi's hands were probably given by that one. An older cultivator sighed. The Tianyuan realm is the same as the Zixuan realm. No true immortal has been born in history. Only the master of the TNG building can give it justice. It is not unfair to destroy Fuiyun Mountain. Someone said softly. That person was secretly pointing out that if Fuiyun Mountain can escape, then there is something wrong with it. Boom. The sky exploded to pieces. This area of the world was completely shattered. The bloody brilliance dyed the world red, almost poignant, and cast a layer of red luster on everything. That was the Emperor's blood flying across the sky, and countless people watched seeing this scene. Everyone's heart shrank, as if a huge boulder was pressed on his chest, and he was a little breathless. In the bloody light of the sky, the soul of Fuiyun Mountain's headmaster escaped, turned into a divine light, tore through the void, and fled quickly after leaving. Only for a moment, he was nowhere to be found. Did you escape? Far in the sky. Menkingzi retracted his palm and murmured. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 428. Menkingzi, I have recorded this grudge. Soon everyone in the Juyu demon sect will be reduced to ashes, and all of this is thanks to you. The master of Fuiyun Mountain screamed in his heart. He looked back and saw that the originally brilliant Fuiyun Mountain had now turned into a piece of scorched earth, and his heart was bleeding. Fortunately, before Fuiyun Mountain was breached, there was the few people rushed to the Tianyuan world. Although the sect has been destroyed and the inheritance of hundreds of millions of years has to be handed over to others, they still retain a trace of incense. Moreover, in the Tianyuan world, they still have Emperor Yama sitting in charge. In addition, as a great emperor, as long as his body is repaired, he will still have the combat power of a great emperor. With the two emperors coexisting, Fuiyun Mountain may not have no chance of rising again. I will definitely ask you to repay the hatred of destroying our family 1,000-fold. The master of Fuiyun Mountain turned around, his eyes were extremely red, and his soul was surrounded by evil spirits, like a demon lord resurrected. Countless people trembled wherever he passed. He glanced in front of him. At this moment, he had escaped. After traveling for tens of millions of miles, it is impossible to catch up with Meng Qingzi with his strength. There is no formation here, but he can first send a message to Emperor Yan Mo in the Tianyuan world. After all, their revenge on Fuiyun Mountain must be avenged. At this time, some interest must be recovered. But he had just taken out the jade slips and had not yet spread the news. Suddenly there was a young man among them. The visitor was dressed in black robes, young and unpredictable, like a heavenly emperor alive. Qi and blood were like Wang Yang. He stood there casually, and the sky was filled with red clouds under his feet. This was the embodiment of extreme strength. The blood and Qi condensed into substance, and the squeezed void was distorted. Even if he did not move, they all seemed to be able to dominate the will of all living beings, looking down at the boundless earth. When this figure appeared, the entire earthly immortal world was in an uproar. Then they were shocked inexplicably. Because this person looked too much like the same person. That is, the long-lost Fang family patriarch. If this person were not younger, countless people would almost think that they had made a mistake. Fang Han. The master of Fuiyun Mountain squeezed out two words with difficulty, with a hint of suspicion in his tone. He had never met Fang Han, but he had met Fang Han's father. The two people were very similar. He was sure that Fang Han, his father, has died. Since the dead cannot be resurrected, the person standing in front of him must be Fang Han. But isn't Fang Han a younger generation? His name is on the list of geniuses of all races. Although he ranks high, but as for his strength, Tianji Luzi wrote very clearly that he is not even a saint. How could he be a great emperor? And an extremely powerful emperor? When you destroyed the Fang clan, did you ever think that you, Fuiyun Mountain, would be where you are today? Fang Han did not deny it, but spoke to himself. The great hatred of the Fang family has been avenged today. In the past, the master of Fuiyun Mountain, who was aloof and almost unattainable, today stood like a dog that hurt the family. In front of him, he almost mistakenly thought he was in a dream. Every time when he dreamed back at midnight, how many times had he seen such a scene? Today he actually saw it more than once, which made him unable to believe everything in front of him. Is it really you? How can you be the emperor? It is impossible to have such a method in the world today, and it is absolutely impossible for you to be promoted from the heaven transformation realm to the great emperor level. Even if you overdraw your potential, you still won't get this far. The master of Fuiyun Mountain staggered back a few steps, his face extremely pale. This world is vaster than you think, and there are some things that you cannot understand at all. Although the earthly immortal realm is powerful, it is just a larger puddle among all the heavens and worlds. Fang Han glanced at the jade slip in Fuyanshan's hand, and then swept it with his eyes, causing it to shatter into powder in the void. At this point, you still want to pass on the news. Too late. Fang Han shook his head slightly, and suddenly took a step forward. For a moment, the aura, like the earth was shattering, surged out, directly smashing the master of Fuiyun Mountain into pieces and turning into countless streams of light. After a long time, the other party struggled to reorganize. Look. Seeing the embarrassment of Master Fuiyun Mountain, Fang Han's eyes were filled with murderous intent, and he said calmly, Yan Mo and others from Tianyuan realm will soon accompany you on your way to death. You will be reunited soon. The headmaster of Fuiyun Mountain glanced at the broken jade slip in his hand. He was lost in thought for a moment, as if he had figured something out, and murmured. I see. If I guess correctly, everything you have now is given by the master of Tianji. In the earthly immortal world, there is indeed no way for someone to become an emperor all of a sudden, but this is not necessarily the case in the Tianji Tower, because the owner of the Tianji Tower is too mysterious. Anything he does cannot be judged by common sense. The matter is a foregone conclusion. Even if you know everything, what can you do? Fang Han said calmly. In the Zixuan realm, the great emperor who fell in my Fuiyun Mountain was also written by you. The headmaster of Fuiyun Mountain said softly. In the past, he was still a little unclear as to why the emperor of Fuiyun Mountain fell, but today everything is clear. Fang Han himself has the power of the emperor. With Meng Qingzi's assistance, it is not difficult to ambush an emperor from Fuiyun Mountain. Good. Fang Han nodded. So, the immortal weapons used by Meng Qingzi today were obtained by you at a huge price in the Tianji Tower. Headmaster Fuiyun asked again. Good. Fang Han still said two words and nodded slightly. Sure enough. Ho ho. The master of Fuiyun Mountain laughed miserably, with mixed feelings in his heart. He now has no hatred for the Tianji Tower, but only endless regrets about why he did not pay attention to the existence of the Tianji Tower in the first place. If he had started, just like Fang Han, he would have sent people to Tianji Tower as soon as the two worlds were connected to exchange Fuiyun Mountain's countless years of heritage for benefits. Then he, Fuiyun Mountain, now has his own immortal weapons. Worst. It is not a problem to retrieve the floating cloud immortal monument left by our ancestor. With the floating cloud immortal monument come on, how can Meng Qingzi and Fang Han have a chance today? The treasures of his Fuiyun Mountain are much more powerful than those of Fang Han and Meng Qingzi. What they can get, he will only get more. Thinking of this, the headmaster of Fuiyun Mountain laughed miserably and became more and more helpless. He made one wrong step after another. It has been passed down for thousands of years because he ignored the existence of the Tianji Tower. Put yourself and the entire Fuiyun Mountain into a situation of no return. Go to hell. Fang Han spoke indifferently, pointed out with a finger, and the soul of the master of Fuiyun Mountain turned into a sky-filled brilliance in the void and disappeared. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 429. From now on, Fuiyun Mountain will be completely eliminated from the world. A leader said in a rather lonely tone as he looked at the blasted leader of Fuiyun Mountain in the sky. A powerful force was completely destroyed in one day, and not even the current leader could escape. This is simply unbelievable, but it is a fact. Although, in the Tianyuan world, there is still a glimmer of hope left in Fuiyun Mountain, but water from afar cannot quench the thirst for nearness. When they come back, they will not only face Meng Qingzi and Fang Han. The other forces in the earthly immortal realm are not good men and women. They are better than anyone in beating up a drowned dog and adding insult to injury. Even the forces that had good relations with Fuiyun Mountain in the past, such as the sects such as the escaping world immortal palace, may have a mentality at the moment. There has also been a change. After all, alliances are based on equal strength between the two sides. Now that Fuiyun Mountain has lost everything, it naturally loses the qualifications to be allies with them. If they don't take the opportunity to get a share of the pie, even if they are very conscientious. Was it Fang Han who was the last to take action? I see that he has the strength of a great emperor. Could it be that he has gained some benefit from the master of Tianji? Someone said softly. Fang Han finally came forward and squeezed the master of Fuiyun Mountain to death, and then quickly disappeared. But in such a short moment, many people still discovered it. They all took out a jade slip, and carefully after taking a look at the contents, Fang Han's name is still on the list of geniuses of all races. Although he has moved up one place, he is still on the list. This shows that Fang Han's current strength is short-lived. It is not enough. Let him surpass the ranking on the list of geniuses in all realms. That should be it. Many people's faith came to life, with a strange brilliance in their eyes. It can make people have the strength of the great emperor, even for a short time, and it has made many people's hearts flutter. The great emperor is not a cabbage. Just such a backup man can do it. It's enough to be used as a trump card. For some inferior strength, they don't have the emperor's scripture or the emperor's weapons. This trump card is undoubtedly very easy to use. At the critical moment, an emperor suddenly jumps out and changes the entire battle. It can be said that it takes no effort. At the same time, inside Fuiyun Mountain, Meng Qingzi grabbed it with his big hand, and divine peaks rose from the ground. He collected countless resources into the space ring, including some medicinal fields and the like. He didn't bother to investigate carefully by category, so he took all the mountains away and moved them back to the 9 Nether Demon sect first. In a short period of time, his 10 storage rings were almost full. Pity. Meng Qingzi glanced at the shattered palaces around him, with a hint of unbearableness in his eyes. These buildings were still shiny and covered with lines. Even the material was extraordinary. Unfortunately, the blow just now made all it was completely destroyed. If they could all be moved away, it would be a huge fortune. Fuiyun Mountain is too wealthy. I wonder what other sects in the earthly immortal realm are like. If they are all like this, I will destroy 7 or 8, and my Juya demon sect will soar into the sky. Meng Qingzi thought in a reverie. He just imagined this idea in his mind. If he were really asked to do this, he would never dare to do it. Even now, he does not dare to stop at all, because he understands that in a short time, I am afraid that others from the earthly immortal realm will rush over. After delaying for a while, he might not be able to leave at all. While Meng Qingzi was busy, Fang Han came back from a distance. How's it going? Meng Qingzi glanced at Fang Han and asked casually. Thank you for what happened today, senior. Fang Han didn't say anything more. He raised his hand towards Meng Qingzi. If it weren't for Meng Qingzi today, he would just harass Fuiyun Mountain with his own words. It would be almost impossible to break through the mountain gate. One trick, no, he might even be left behind completely. No need to thank you, I'm not just here to help you. Meng Qingzi waved his hand and said without caring. The master of Fuiyun Mountain was killed by you. Yes. Fang Han nodded. It was also thanks to Meng Qingzi that he shattered the opponent's body. Otherwise, if he wanted to defeat the opponent by himself, it would take a lot of time. As for killing the opponent, there would be no need to think about it. Got it? It seems that the great revenge of your Fang clan has been avenged. Meng Qingzi chuckled. His gaze went beyond Fang Han and looked at a mountain peak, where there was Fang Han's old servant, leading a lot of people in wretched appearance. No need to guess, Meng Qingzi also knew about it. These people should all be members of the Fang clan who survived by chance. The strongest among them is only at the Saint King level, and the higher ones have long been eliminated by Fuiyun Mountain. But even so, when these people recover, they will still be a clan. A force that cannot be underestimated. Not yet, the great enemy of the Fang clan is not just Fuinshan. Fang Han shook his head. Among the many forces that destroyed the Fang clan, Fuiyun Mountain was just the leader. Now there are still forces such as the Reclusive Immortal Palace. These forces are not weaker than Fuiyun Mountain in terms of foundation. With Fuiyun Mountain there is a lesson learned beforehand. It is almost impossible to use the same method to destroy the immortal palace. So what are your next plans to stay in the earthly immortal realm? Meng Qingzi asked curiously. I'm planning to. Fang Han glanced at the clansmen behind him, then at Meng Qingzi, and said softly, I plan to take the clansmen to Tianyuan realm. He understood that if he continued to stay in the earthly immortal realm, it would be difficult for him to gain any benefit, and he might be destroyed again. At present, the only way to have a chance of survival was to go to the Tianyuan realm. Even though the Tianyuan world is being attacked by the earthly immortal world. When Meng Qingzi heard this, he narrowed his eyes slightly, and inadvertently, a glimmer of coldness flashed in the depths of his eyes. Now the Tianyuan realm is the enemy of the earthly immortal realm. It can be said that it is in a situation where enemies are on all sides. At the moment, Fang Han is leading his tribe. In the Tianyuan world, it was difficult not to remind him of bad things. It was just one Fang Han, but Fang Han had rescued a lot of people this time. Many saint kings were alive among them. If they went to the Tianyuan world, they would definitely, if he wants a place to live, there will inevitably be some friction. He doesn't want his good intentions to end up creating a strong enemy for the Tianyuan world. Senior, don't get me wrong. Fang Han felt the air around him become cold, and quickly explained this junior has no wrong thoughts about Tianyuan world, he just wants to do his best for Tianyuan world. Oh? Meng Qingzi raised his eyebrows and chuckled, are you planning to stand on the side of Tianyuan realm? Good. Fang Han nodded. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 430. It's rare that you have such thoughts. Meng Qingzi's face relaxed and was no longer as cold as before. He still saw Fang Han's value very clearly. The opponent had a lot of trump cards, and he also had an immortal weapon in hand, although he felt that there was something wrong with this immortal weapon. But what exactly is the problem? He couldn't figure it out for a while. There is no doubt that if Fang Han joins the Tianyuan world with immortal weapons, it will be a timely help for the Tianyuan world that currently does not even have a true immortal. The elders have been so kind, but the younger generation has nothing to repay. It is also the younger generation's duty to be able to contribute to the Tianyuan world. Fang Han breathed a sigh of relief, and finally felt relieved. He was worried just now that Meng Qingzi would suddenly fall out. He can use his trump card 3 times in total, and it was already the 3rd time. Meng Qingzi knew it well. If he chooses to take action, he can only take his tribe and escape quickly. At the moment, Meng Qingzi has not taken action. It is very likely that he was bluffed by himself. After all, the ancient lamp in his hand, although it is a secret treasure, is not considered a treasure. Immortal weapon, but what he told Meng Qingzi was an immortal weapon. With this deterrent, no matter how strong Meng Qingzi is, he still has to think carefully before taking action. Fuiyun Mountain has a profound heritage. Please hurry up and see what you can take away. If it's too late, we may not be able to leave. Meng Qingzi glanced at Fang Han with satisfaction, and then looked at the sky. Although the sky was still windy and light in the distance, his intuition told him that at this time, countless powerful people from the immortal world were coming. There was such a big commotion here. It would be unreasonable for some scary people not to come and take a look. Once those people arrived, it would be difficult for the 2 of them to escape. Now he has not arranged any formations, but Fang Han will be beaten back to his original form in an hour, and there is no way he can be a match for others in the earthly immortal world. Yes. Fang Han didn't delay. He raised his hand and quickly put the information left by Fuiyun Mountain into the space ring. Half an hour later, After the two confirmed that nothing was left behind, they left quickly. Just as the two of them, it took less than a quarter of an hour to leave. Above Fuiyun Mountain, the sky cracked. Several powerful figures walked out, each with a majestic figure and an aura as deep as the sea. The first time they came out, they felt like Wang Yang. The momentum swept across the sky and the earth. Like a god who dominates all living beings, he stands high above, looking down at all living beings. Every move he makes is accompanied by the laws of heaven and earth. It is extremely terrifying. Not here. It seems that Meng Qingzi has left. A supreme figure opened and closed his eyes. There was a sea of stars rising and falling in his eyes. Countless stars were reborn and destroyed in it. It was extremely terrifying. What a quick move. Next to him, a man wearing a golden robe, with golden light flowing all over his body, and symbols looming, making him look extremely noble, as if a divine emperor was alive. His eyes swept across the Fuiyun Mountain ruins, and his pupils were filled with murder. Wandering with thoughts, he said indifferently, Fuiyun Mountain has countless hidden treasures, and in the end they all made wedding dresses for Meng Qingzi, so Meng Qingzi is a good trick. The reclusive immortal palace has always been on good terms with Fuiyun Mountain. Now that Fuiyun Mountain has been destroyed, don't you, the reclusive immortal palace, want to avenge it? An illusory figure asked lightly. The man in the golden robe frowned, glanced at the person who just spoke, then looked in the direction of Tianyuan world, and said coldly. There is no need for fellow Taoists to remind us that we have our own plans for retreating to the immortal palace. That fellow Taoist should take advantage of it. The illusory figure was non-committal. After a chuckle, he continued to speak. The person who destroyed Fuiyun Mountain was not only Meng Qing, but also Fang Han, who was traveling with him. If I remember correctly, you, the Hermitage Immortal Palace, also contributed a lot to the forces that destroyed the Fang clan. In the future, if Ho Han grows up, it will also be a big trouble for you, the Hermitage Immortal Palace. Fellow Taoist, what do you mean by this? The man in the golden robe narrowed his eyes slightly and his tone became a little colder. Nothing. Just kindly remind you. The illusory figure said nonchalantly. Snort. When the man in gold robe heard this, his face was solemn, and he snorted coldly. He looked at the ruins of the wall below, wondering what he was thinking. After a long time, he took out a jade slip and quickly sent a message. Less than a moment. Tianyuan world. Outside the Wang city. Ah! A heart-rending roar shattered the sky, and a man in black stood in the void, with energy and blood like Wang Yang, filling the boundless starry sky. His eyes were bloodshot, and he shot out two rays of divine light, which shot up through the sky, making people tremble in ancient and modern times, and penetrated the 33rd heaven at once. Then, with a bang, the man's body was covered with flames, burning everything around him. The countless creatures that were coming to the desert city all retreated out. This smell is terrible. Many people immediately sensed that the owner of the aura was a great emperor, so they did not dare to get too close because they found that something was wrong with the emperor's state. Afraid of getting hurt. Who is this person? I don't know, it should be a certain emperor in my Tianyuan world, right? How could the great emperor of Tianyuan realm freely unleash his power near Dawang city? And it seems that this great emperor has encountered a huge change. This man seems to be an emperor from another world. He has entered the great desert city in a very high-profile manner before, but for some reason, he has not left yet. Many creatures in the Tianyuan world looked at the scene in the distance with fear. They couldn't figure out what happened to a great emperor to make him so angry. Just the murderous aura escaping was enough to break the hearts of many people. If there was a direct contact, I am afraid that countless cultivators would be turned into ashes immediately. Fang Han. Meng Qingzi. This emperor will fight with you until death. The cold words echoed between heaven and earth, without any emotion. Everyone who heard these words felt as if they had fallen into an ice cellar, with their hands and feet getting cold. These words were too terrifying. They contained infinite murderous intent. It's enough to shake people's souls. Emperor Yan Mo stood high in the sky, his robes rustling, and his eyes almost turned into blood, as if he was a ferocious beast that wanted to choose people and devour them. He could never have imagined that a person who was clearly being how did the people he blocked in Dawang City sneak away to Tianyuan realm? It was just that they went to Tianyuan realm, the key was to destroy Fuyun Mountain. If he had found out in advance that Fang Han had escaped, how could Fuyun Mountain have to end up like this? What made him even more unexpected was that even though Fuyun Mountain was destroyed, not even a single news came out from the beginning to the end. If a fellow Taoist who had escaped from the Immortal Palace hadn't told him, maybe he is still kept in the dark. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 431. 9 Nether Demon Sect. Emperor Yama's eyes were cold. This kind of gaze made all living beings tremble. Everywhere he glanced, a cold air came out of everyone's back. It was very scary. There is no need to exist anymore. The Emperor Yama spoke again. He was covered in black light, shining for hundreds of millions of miles, like an abyss demon returning. The rays of light penetrated the sun and the moon, majestic and powerful, and what flowed out was the rumbling and powerful energy and blood. He grabbing it with a palm, the void not far away shattered, and a great halberd flew through the air, shocking the world with its murderous aura, filled with countless awe-inspiring divine lights, and chilling through the past and present. Holding the great halberd in his hand, Yama Emperor seemed to be incarnate at this moment. He became an undefeated god of war. He ruled the heaven and the earth. Then, he took one step and rushed straight to the Juyu demon sect. Here, he wanted to recover some interest for Fuyun Mountain. After the Juyu demon sect was destroyed, he would rush to intercept Menkingzi. He believed that his own strength was definitely not comparable to Menkingzi's. The first time Emperor Yama left. In the deserted city. In an attic. Yang Qiu suddenly woke up. He stood up, walked outside the attic, and looked at the scene outside Dawang City with a look of surprise and uncertainty on his face. The great emperor who just spoke came from the earthly immortal world. Is it possible? After the ancestor and Fang Han went to the earthly immortal realm, they really destroyed a powerful force. Now they are going to seek revenge against the Juyu demon sect. Yang Qiu felt a toothache. That's the great emperor. The ancestor has not returned, how can he stop it? Even if the ancestor comes, to be honest, Yang Qiu has no idea. It is too short for Menkingzi to become emperor. There is no comparison between some figures who have been emperors for a long time. It would be fine if Menkingzi could be given enough time to set up the formation, but now he has gone to the Juyu demon sect, how can he still have time to set up the formation? But with the Juyu demon sect now, Yang Qiu felt that he could not hold out for much longer with the mountain protecting formation. Maybe the 9 Nether demon sect was gone before Menkingzi came back. How seemingly endless rain. Yang Qiu glanced at the sky. He could sense that in the depths of the chaos, there were still many powerful figures fighting against the invasion of the earthly immortal realm. The Tianyuan world has been completely exposed. One by one, the great emperor walked out of the restricted area and went outside the boundary to resist the creatures in the earthly immortal world. Now that some time has passed, it is still a bit unstoppable. Many creatures from the earthly immortal realm have crossed over and caused boundless waves in the Tianyuan realm. Now, it seems that the 9 Nether demon sect can no longer survive alone. It seems that I should go to Tianji Tower again. Yang Qiu murmured. At this time, except for the senior master of Tianji building, he really couldn't think of anyone else in Tianyuan world who could help Juyu demon sect. After a while, Yang Qiu came to Tianji building. Although the outside world, the sky has been overturned, but I can't feel the atmosphere in the Tianji Tower at all. Everywhere is full of ancient charm, and there is a Taoist charm lingering around, which makes people involuntarily calm down. Junior Yang Qiu has met his senior. After entering the Tianji building, Yang Qiu calmed down and saluted respectfully. Coming. Li Yun was holding an ancient book in his hand. Hearing the sound, he raised his head and glanced sideways at Yang Qiu, pointed to a chair not far away, and casually said, "Sit down." "Thank you, senior." Yang Qiu nodded and sat in front of Li Yun. He secretly observed Li Yun's expression and asked softly, "Senior, just now outside the Wang city, there was a great emperor who unleashed his own pressure. For a moment, many people were frightened. This approach was indeed a bit arrogant. After all, the Wang city is the most sacred place in the Tianyuan world. Not to mention a great emperor, even if a true immortal comes, he cannot be so presumptuous. I don't know, senior, what are your plans?" Oh. Hearing this, Li Yun felt a little funny in his heart. He put down the book in his hand, looked at Yang Qiu without blinking, and said casually, "Are you trying to borrow a knife to kill someone? The little calculation is really loud." Senior joked. Yang Qiu laughed dryly. He knew that his little thoughts could not be hidden from his seniors, so he simply went ahead and said flatteringly, "The junior is also thinking about the senior. If it were not for the junior's lack of strength, he would have taken action just now to suppress and kill the madman, making him understand that the great desert city is not a place where he can run wild." "Is it?" Li Yun said with a smile but not a smile. "Absolutely true." Yang Qiu's righteous words are quite upright and awe-inspiring. For those who don't know, judging from his current behavior, they can't tell that he is a man of the devil's path. However, the Yama Emperor did not go wild in Dawang City, nor did he have any impact on Dawang City. Li Yun casually picked up the ancient book, turned a page again, and said casually, "The formations in Dawang City have been reinforced by him several times. This is also due to the secret points he has accumulated during this period. The formations alone, he didn't even know how much he had exchanged for such ancient books. It can be said that in today's Dawang City, not to mention true immortals, even higher level figures have to kneel when they come. A mere emperor, he has not yet. To put it in perspective, even the weakest formation can easily kill Yama Emperor without fully activating the formation." Cough. Yang Qiu coughed dryly and said sheepishly that Emperor Yan Mo knows that the great desolate city is not far away, but he still behaves like this. Isn't it arrogant? As far as I know, this is not the case. Li Yun turned a page in the ancient book, glanced at Yang Qiu, and said lightly, "If Meng Qingzi hadn't destroyed Fuyun Mountain, why would he be so angry? Right now, the most dangerous place is not anywhere else, but your Juyo demon section. With the speed of a great emperor, it may not take long for Emperor Yan Mo to arrive in front of the mountain gate of the 9 Nether demon section. Meng Qingzi is not in Juyo demon sect at the moment. I am afraid that your sect will make the same mistake as Fuyun Mountain before long." This. Yang Qiu was speechless. At first, he wanted to test the attitude of the master of Tianji, if the senior master of Tianji was dissatisfied with the Emperor Yama. This couldn't be better. If the master of Tianji takes action, a single Yama Emperor will not be able to make any waves. If the senior poster had pressed him to death, the Juyo demon sect would have been able to survive the disaster without any danger. But who would have thought that the senior poster of Tianji would not have cared about what just happened? As a result, the 9 Nether demon sect will be in trouble. Is there any way, senior, to allow the 9 Nether demon sect to survive this calamity safely? Yang Qiu pursed his lips, took out a quasi-emperor level elixir from the storage ring, placed it in front of Li Yun, and asked softly. "Not enough." Li Yun glanced at it and spat out 2 words at random.